Dr. Frank, welcome back. Is it contagious?
Thank you, Tom. There's no such thing as a contagious psychosis.
Okay.
However, when a group of Americans, like that woman sitting behind Louise on the airplane, behave in a psychotic manner and become very outraged suddenly, it's because Trump himself has amplified and stimulated their already present psychotic anxieties. We all have some degree of psychotic anxieties that we know about when we suddenly go into a parking lot and think somebody, oh my God, where's my car? Somebody took it. Or we get anxious and get disoriented. But it does not, but it really means that Trump is not doing his job as president, that he is stimulating paranoid fears that lurk inside of all of us, and he helps people organize those fears and suspicions against the news media and against our very democracy, despite numerous investigations that have shown no election fraud. So in this sense, psychosis may seem contagious. It's stimulated by a president whose normal job is to allay anxieties or calm them down in the general public. That's what Roosevelt did with his fireside chats. We all have anxieties, and a leader needs to help people manage them. Instead, Trump invites attacks on people wearing masks and, more importantly, on government institutions and elected officials.
Right, and less people.
This is dangerous, and it must be stopped.
Yeah, and lest people think they're listening to a best of because you're using the present tense. Let's use the past tense. He's a former president, and
former president,
but he is still trying to. Yeah, thank God. But he is still trying to crank people up. I mean, he was in Ohio this last weekend, reciting his lies, and had thousands of cheering people going, yeah, lock her up, etc. So how you said it has to stop? I agree with you. How do we push back on this? How do we help people, particularly friends or relatives? I have a cousin who, or a relative, let's say, not a cousin actually, but a relative who is ranting about positively about Trump on Facebook, and I've just been like, I can't even touch this. What do we do?
Well, it's very hard because when a person has a fixed belief, you can't really argue with them. You have to find your way psychologically of sitting next to them and looking at their belief system and saying something like, I know you believe this. I really do. But I don't see it the same way as you, and could we talk about it? I really don't think it's the same. But I do know that this is what you feel and what you believe, and I'm taking it seriously. There needs to be a way to not become dismissive the way Trump followers are dismissive of the news media and dismissive of people like you and me, and certainly dismissive of elected officials. We have to find a way to sit next to people in a calm moment and not go off on them the way they go off on us. And that's a problem when somebody's on the airplane. You can't really do that, but it's important to know that we all give authority figures more authority than they might otherwise need, because we were all children once and our parents knew everything. And that's how it was when you're little, and then as you get disillusioned and you look to other leaders who have answers. And there's a real deep belief in somebody having the answers. And in this case, Trump has promoted that belief even after he has lost the presidency, but he's done it in promoting this incredible attack on our democracy on January 6th. And that is converting fears into actions, which is really extremely dangerous and needs to be stopped publicly. Somehow he needs to be shut up somehow. And I think his followers it's almost like you have to deprogram people from a cult, the way the way people have done who've been in other cults.
Yeah, like there's
a yearning for this. And as I wrote in my book, he's the kind of person who, as a father, would scare the hell out of his children. Then they'd have night terrors, and he'd come in and turn on the light, and he would say, "Only I can make your fears go away." That's how he operates.
Yeah, and that's pretty much literally what he said in his inaugural address and in his campaigning. We're talking with Professor Justin Frank, psychoanalyst and clinical professor at the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Science at George Washington University, the author of Trump on the Couch and the whole In the Couch books series, Twitter handle JustinFrankMD. Dr. Frank, one of the things that I didn't realize until I got to be an adult and an older adult, frankly, is that, and something that you just referenced, is that no matter how old we are, even people in their very elder years, we are all deep down inside little kids. That little child that we once were, we carry with us for our whole entire lives, and it makes us vulnerable to people like these authoritarians. And so I'm wondering, if when Trump was president, he was essentially stepping into the role of the nation's father, the nation's parent. Joe Biden fills that role right now for most people. And he's been doing, it seems to me, a spectacular job of saying, okay, let's just chill out here. There's nothing to be afraid of. Don't worry. We've got this under control. We're going to. So it seems to me that Biden's doing the right thing. And might that not be one of the most potent ways to dissipate the power that these wannabe autocrats, whether it's Trump or whether it's Rick Scott or Josh Hawley, or you pick your wannabe fascist, neo-fascist here. Isn't that one of the best ways to handle it at the level of politics?
Of the best way. Yes, I think that's a great point, Tom. It's one of the best ways of handling people's fears is what Biden is doing. He's doing a modern version of Roosevelt's fireside chats, and he is trying to calm people's anxieties. The problem is that Trump continues to say that Biden is not legitimate.
Right.
He was not elected. He should not be president. And I think that's where we get into big trouble. What Biden is doing as president, and more people understand that, is trying to allay our fears and anxieties in a very healthy way, speaking to the child parts of us that exist in all of us.
Yeah.
And that we need to believe that somebody has answers. I mean, the shock that parents don't have all the answers gets immediately relieved when you switch it to teachers or celebrities or other people you have trust in. In my practice, that's what I do as a psychoanalyst. People have fantasies that I have all the answers, which of course I don't. And what's great about Biden is he doesn't say he has all the answers. He is consistent and calming and being a really strong, stable parental figure that we have not had in this country in a long time, and I mean a long time.
Yeah, and that's a good thing, and I guess we need to acknowledge that and be grateful for it. But great advice, Dr. Frank. Thanks so much for dropping by and sharing this with all of us.
Thank you so much, Tom.
It's always great talking to you, and I got to tell you, to my listeners and viewers, JustinFrankMD is the Twitter handle. He's really worth following. Dr. Frank, again, thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Bye.
I mean, do we even need to do a commercial for the Steph store? I mean, the shirts are flying off the right. Look at this. Look at it. Get your face
Look at that.
Get your face up there. Look. We have them for Team Pfizer, Team J&J. We are all Team Vaccine here. We have amazing.
That's right.
And you can get it on everything. Right, Chris? Not just shirts.
Bath mats, shower curtains. You can get it on art, a clock. You can get
Duvet.
a selfie bomb on a clock.
We have Stephanie Miller swag. We have sexy liberal swag. And, of course, all the vaccine shirts. Get it now. StephanieMiller.com. Whee!